Good day. I'm Jim Winship, Senior Diplomatic Correspondent for Diplomatic Connections magazine. Joining us this morning is Ambassador Ali Suleiman Ojali, Ambassador of Libya to the United States. And given events as they have unfolded this year, he is twice Ambassador of Libya to the United States. Once under the Gaddafi regime and once now under the new government in Libya. Ambassador Ojali, thank you for joining us today.
Thanking you.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and it's a pleasure to be doing this interview in your residence. You've been a diplomat now more than 40 years, and you've certainly seen enormous changes in your country. Could you tell us a little bit about why you decided to become a diplomat?
Well, that's a long story. I remember when I graduated from Benghazi University. That time the government gave us a chance to work in the department, and the number of years we spent in the university. My appointment was in the Ministry of Finance, in Tripoli, and I'm from Benghazi. Then I was thinking, how am I going to travel 1,000 kilometers to Tripoli, and I don't know many people there, but my neighbors, he's working for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at that time, which is in Beida. Then he told me there's investment to recruit more new diplomats. Then I said, okay. I went to the ministry, I draw the forms and I apply, and then I sit for exam and interview, and I was appointed with another 5 young graduated also in December 1968. Then that's exactly how it has happened.
Now, are the others still in active diplomatic service? Do you know?
Only one.
Only one.
Only one. From 6, only one, because we're supposed to be retired by age,
Right.
But anyhow, things happened. They still keeping me and him. He is our vice representative to Arab League in Cairo.
I was going to raise this question later in the interview, but you mentioned it already, and I think it would be of interest to our readers and our listeners, Ambassador, and that is the relationship between Benghazi and Tripoli. I mean, and how you are from Benghazi. How are the two cities different? How are they? You mentioned 1,000 kilometers apart. But how are they seen differently by the Libyan people? What distinguishes the two?
Well, I think Benghazi is smaller than Tripoli in number of inhabitants, and Tripoli is always the capital. And Tripoli is a city which have more, I think, foreigners living in Libya, especially the Italians, and were some Jewish also before the coup in 1969. But both cities are connected very, very long time and very strongly, because many from the eastern part, they came and they lived, from the western part they came and they lived in the eastern part. Some of them they have relatives, some of them they came to look for job and business opportunities. Then the majority of Benghazi citizens or inhabitants, they are not really from the east part. There are many of them. A great percentage are from the western part. Then there is a connection here. And the second thing, which I believe it was very important, that during the monarch we have 2 universities, Benghazi and Tripoli University.
Yes.
And the faculties, they are not the same. If you have medicine faculty in Benghazi, then there is no medicine faculty in Tripoli.
I see.
And then if you have law in Tripoli, then you don't have law in Benghazi. Then the student, they exchange the student.
I see.
And this is, I believe this is very important to create great connections and relation and even marriage, But we'll see after when the revolution started in Benghazi, the first one to recognize the NTC is Zintan. That's far east of Libya. Then the connection is very strong, is very there. Of course, there is difference in dialogue. There is difference sometimes maybe in kind of food we eat.
Yes.
Yeah, but the relation is very strong. Now it is opposite. I think during Gaddafi time, then the people there start moving west, because the work, the job and work opportunity is getting very, very scarce. What they call very rare in Benghazi.
Yes, yes.
Some parts, you know, especially
Yes.
Gaddafi was punishing the East because, you know, they were always making trouble for you.
Yes, yeah. So the
Yeah.
punishment had an
Yeah.
effect that has to be
Yeah.
rebuilt.
Marginalized and the punishment and all this kind of.
Yes, yes. But what? Why do you think Benghazi was the heart of the revolution?
I think this is the history of Benghazi. Benghazi, the good thing is, but there are many good things about the city, you know. It is accommodate any strangers. And if you come and to Benghazi and you want to live there, you find the people that are very, very, very helpful. They accommodate you, they are concerned about you, they give you shelter, they give you help. And Benghazi, it is, as I said before, it is a city which is have all the Libyans who are living in Libya. There are someone who are living in Benghazi or close to Benghazi. And Benghazi is not only from now, it is for a long time since the monarch.
Mm-hmm.
It's the country always who stand up against the injustice, against unfairness, against, you know, corruptions, you know. And this is what happened. The Gaddafi started facing challenging from the east part since 1970s, when the students, you know,
Mm-hmm.
demonstrate. Yes. And he hanged them, unfortunately, in the university's campus and in the street of Benghazi, which nobody did this in the Libyan history except the Italians when they colonized Libya in 1911.
Mm. Can you tell us, Ambassador, a little bit? I wanted to get that Benghazi question in because obviously we'll come back. Benghazi has been so much in the news. But can you tell us a little bit back to your diplomatic career about some of the posts you served in before coming to the United States?
Well, I started my career. First, I started working with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. It was in Beida. And then in 1970, I moved to Tripoli.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And after then my first post overseas was London, 1971.
Uh-huh.
I was third secretary, and I served for 4 years in 1971 until 1975. And then I went back to Libya. I was in the minister's office. After that, I was posted to Malaysia in 1976.
Mm.
1980, I became ambassador. Actually, I was appointed ambassador young, about 36 years.
Yes.
Of age, and I spent another 4 years.
Huh.
Then I spent in Malaysia together 8 years. After Malaysia, I worked very hard, I think, and they want to recognize my work. Then they sent me to Argentina. Then I spent another 4 years in Argentina, from 84 to 88.
Uh-huh.
Again, from Argentina, they sent me to Brazil. Then from 88 until December 1993, I went back home, and I spent 7 years in Tripoli.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Half of these years they were with the director of Department of North Americas, and the other other 3 is the director of Europe. After that, I was also appointed to Canada, 2001.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I spent 3 years. And when the relation established between Libya and the United States in the end of 1993, I'm sorry, in the 2003.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Then I was thinking who's going to be my neighbors in the south. You know.
Not thinking it would be you.
No, to be honest with you, I was reviewing names, you know, who's
Yes.
going to be, because it is a very important post and a very delicate post. And I know that the government, they want someone who can deal with these issues. And that was including my name in the names I've been reviewed. And it happened. I came here in, I think, July 2004 until now.
And what were those early days like of, if you will, breaking the ice between the United States and Libya? How did you go about that?
Well, I must tell you, I was treated excellent since I arrived to this country until today.
Yes.
From the from the officials, different departments, from the people, wherever I go. Even that time, the relation was very difficult. I am a very sincere person. I go straight to my goals. I tell you what I feel, what I want, and maybe sometimes even I tell you what you don't like. And because of this frankness, I believe that we've been able to establish a very good relation with the Americans. But of course, the American, they took it step by step. We start lowest representation, which is the intersection with under the umbrella of the United Arab Emirates, and then liaison office, and then embassy, and then ambassadors levels. We have to work together because there are so many difficult files and issues we have to deal with them. And we are very happy to say that we've been able to close all these outstanding files, Lockerbie, Labelle, all these issues in 2010. Then relation after the revolution, if you want me to continue.
Sure.
Then
perfectly fine.
Yeah. Then when the revolution started in Benghazi, I called Libya and tried to find out what's happening. I called actually a friend of mine, well, he told me there is nothing, and he's the chief of the intelligence service in Libya.
I see.
He told me nothing, just young people, they are taking drugs and this. And when he told me drugs, I was really disappointed. Then I said, okay, thank you, and I closed the phone, hung the phone, and then since then I didn't speak to anybody. Then I cannot understand that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to help Libya. We're trying to make the life of the Libyan people easy. But when it comes, and this is why we are in the government, we don't want to leave the government in the hands of the people who only have loyalty to Gaddafi. They have no loyalty for Libya, they have loyalty for the Libyan people. Then this is the main reason we stayed in the government. And let me tell you, there are thousands of Libyan in the government offices which they don't like what is going on. They don't agree with the policy. They see the corruption. They see every efforts Gaddafi is doing just for himself and for his family and for his prestige. Then, and I will never, of course, serve in a regime that killing his own people. Then I resigned in 21st of February 2011.
Well, that leads me to ask you, Ambassador, what was it like representing the Gaddafi regime? Did you find yourself having to represent and defend policies that you disagreed with behind the scenes?
It is not an easy job, believe me. It is a very difficult job. And I remember, especially in 2010, when the WikiLeaks news started to come out,
yes,
and there are some serious issue about Gaddafi's personal life came out, and then he was very, very, very upset. And they start sending some official letters. They want me to handle it to the president or to the Secretary of State, and I found this letter they have no language, very low language, and I hesitate, you know, to do this.
Yes.
And I sent back that this letter should not be handled. They have no the common language, which is really between the states or between between ministers or between presidents. And this is just one example. I think it was not easy at all. Even now, my job is not even an easy job, you know. But my intention all this time, since I came to this country, no Libyans ever believe or even dream that Libya will witness these changes. Then the Libyan, unfortunately, after 40 years, they only surrender. Gaddafi used all ways and means to protect his regime, and he doesn't care what happened to the people or to the country. He doesn't care about the infrastructure. He doesn't care about the Libyan people's need. Then what we have to do in this case? I thought that the threat for Gaddafi always from the United States, and he realized this very well, because since 1986, when he was President Reagan, he bombed Al-Azizia. Yes. Then Gaddafi get it very seriously. I thought that when we have a normal relation with the United States, then Gaddafi would be more relaxed, and he will give more space to the people, some more freedom of speech, more human rights, more attention to the infrastructure. That's the only option I have. Then this is what I am working for. But when it came to when the incident of the WikiLeaks in 2010, I find myself that we are back to the square one. Then I told my wife.
Because of the information that was in the leaked communiques between the U.S. representation in Libya and the State Department?
Yeah, because there was some cables that were released concerning his wife, concerning Gaddafi's affair, you know, and
yes.
he get crazy. This is a red line. He doesn't want anybody to be involved with this, and then he starts to see these issues. And I told my wife, I think, look, there is no more time to spend here. Now we are back to before 2003, and I think I should leave.
Well, and that answers, in part at least, the question I was going to ask, Ambassador, which was what was the final straw? I mean, when did you, or how did you decide, now is the time I have to make the break with the Gaddafi regime?
You mean after the revolution?
Yes.
Well, I think it was an easy decision for me to decide. Even, I don't know how much price I would pay myself or my family, but I will, Gaddafi make it very easy. The way he handled the issue and the protests in Benghazi and the Libyan cities, especially in Benghazi, because Benghazi's protests stay only for 4 days, and then people, they've been able to liberate it. Then I think it make it very easy for everybody who has a national feels, you know, again, for his people, for his country, and who's not the one who stick just for his job and he doesn't care about heaven. I think it was an easy decision. Even when I took this decision, I was thinking, do you think I will see my country again, you know? And
I know this is very emotional
yeah,
for you.
It is. Then this is what happened, you know. I decided with my family, they support me, and we stand together.
So what was life like for you? I mean, there was an interim there when you were no longer the ambassador of the Gaddafi regime, and before the Transitional National Council renamed you as ambassador for the new Libya.
Yeah, I must say that when I resigned, I went to the State Department and I told them what happened, and they support me actually from the beginning. But in the same time, they have to deal with me according to the Vienna Convention.
Of course,
and they do understand that. And we stayed in the office until middle of March 2011, and then I have to give everything.
Yes.
Then I gave the embassy, and I stay here in the house.
And there was some division in the embassy staff as
this
well.
This is another struggle. Then I'm not struggling only. I'm not the Libyan people. They have another issue to deal in Libya, but I have another issue to deal here because that time in the embassy there was 15 employees. There are 15 employees working with me, and they are diplomats, and 10 of them at the first time they said, okay, we are with you on this, and then later on they started to communicate with Tripoli, and they told them, look, like, you know, you have to stand, you have to stop the ambassador from coming to the embassy, and they changed the locks.
I was going to say they actually changed the locks.
They changed the locks, and you know, they wrote some slogans on the door of my office doors, and then I have to deal with this, and with the help of the State Department, and we've been able to give.
I have to ask, and you may not be able to answer this, but what was the response in Tripoli when the announcement of your resignation became public?
Well, the first thing, you know, they start to communicate with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, with the State Department of State here, and they're sending official letter that I'm no more representing Libya, and they requested another member of the embassy staff, you know, to be in charge, and that's the whole situation. But you know, the government here, the State Department, they gave me until the 15th of March. And after that, I have to change my visa, my residence visa, myself, my families, and that's exactly what happened.
I see. I see. What about, now looking back on it, what are the lessons to be learned from the experience of the Libyan revolution and the response of the United States and Europe to that revolution?
I must tell you, I'm really very, very, very proud of Libya. The way they fought Gaddafi, the way they get together from the east to the west, to the north, to the south. One hand, they united for 8 months, and they sacrificed their lives, women, men, old, young, all they came together. I am really proud. I never expect that Libyan will stand together to fight this regime after 40 years. That's something unbelievable. And I think this drew the attention of the international community for two things, I believe, because Gaddafi has no friends. Gaddafi is many, not only Libyans, but also foreigners suffered from his terrorist actions. And the second thing, I think the Libyans show the world and very clearly that they want to get rid of this regime. I think this is really something we are proud of. The lesson, I think, that's I was telling here, in the media from time to time, that before the American decided to stand by Libya, I said, well, you are telling the world that you will stand for democracy, you will help the nations who are looking for freedom, and this is the time, you have to prove it. And that's what happened. I think what happening now in Syria is this is a different, this is another issue with a different situation. I believe this message that tells the dictatorship that they have no more time to stay in power. I think that not only your own people, but the international community is ready to move when it is necessary.
Do you think Operation Unified Protector was too slow to unfold? Could lives have been saved if that operation had been put in place earlier?
Well, I think that the operation, I think it came just in the right time. I never forget that on the 18th of March, when Mr. Abdjalil, he's the chair of the NTC, the National Transitional Council, he called me and he told me, Ali, if there is no intervention from the NATO or from the United States, that Gaddafi, he is now just a few kilometers west of Benghazi, and then Benghazi will not be there tomorrow. And this is one of the very, very really difficult situation I faced during during that time. Then what I have to do? Then I have to call the American, the French, the Italian, the British. I called the ambassadors here, and
yes,
and not only me. Of course, I will not claim this credit, but I think in many friends, they come forward, and if they delay by hours, not by days, to stop the Gaddafi from hitting Benghazi, entering with his forces to Benghazi, I think that would be a massacre in Benghazi, no doubt about it. But the Libyans also in Benghazi, they delay him for maybe one day, and they did a great job. They confront him with whatever they had.
Let me ask you, Ambassador, about the problems of nation building. We've seen the Transitional National Council do its job. It has transitioned, if you will. We are just seeing the beginnings of the General National Council. Does the government in Tripoli, in fact, control the country? Is it seen as legitimate by the bulk of Libyans? How much resistance is there to the new government?
It is legitimate, yes, it is legitimate, especially this government now has been elected, but how much is controlled, this is a different question. I think the government is still not in full control of Libya. This is very true. They're trying very hard, but at the same time, they are not in full control. The Minister of Defense, Minister of Interior, I think they are in short of personnel, technology, equipment, coordination, communication. Libya is a very huge country. To us, it is 1.1 square miles.
Yes.
Desert, 95% of the country is desert. We have 8,000 kilometers of borders with countries, especially in the south, and the problem in the north of Mali. But the government is not really in full control. The other thing is the Gaddafi is associated. They are living in neighboring countries. They have money. They also have freedom of movement, and they have still some connection inside Libya. The other thing, there are some groups, which we are not very comfortable with them, and the Libyan people, they said the word in Benghazi when they demonstrate against the attack on the American consulate and against these people who are involved in this attack. I think we need the help of our friends, we need the help to establish a very strong army, very strong police, and very strong intelligence service. Libya is now, this is the priority, I think, the security is very, very, very important.
Understood. Where is, you mentioned there are still forces loyal to Gaddafi or the Gaddafi regime. Where else does resistance come from? Is it more extremist groups? Is it groups who are more involved in the political face of Islam?
I think the extremists, they are not against the Libyan people, or they are try to hurt the government, or I don't think this is the case. The only thing that I have seen, for example, is the attack against the American embassy, which is a very sad incident. But I think that the incidents which take place from time to time, I think this is 100%. I think this is Gaddafi's associated with still living in Libya, and still, for example, there was an attack yesterday on one of in the east part of Libya. 3 soldiers belonging to the government were killed. Who do this? They're not the extremists or the Islamists, what you call them. No, I think this completely is action of Gaddafi's loyalty.
Well, you've referred to the attack on the consulate in Benghazi, Ambassador, and I wonder if you could, I know you were personal friends with Ambassador Chris Stevens. What was he like, and what was his importance to the people of Libya?
I know Chris about 6 years ago. I think maybe I knew him before he went to serve in your embassy when he was in the foreign relations in the Senate. We met a few times, and we met some seminars, and then he went to your embassy, and then we come to know him very closely.
Yes.
When he came here after he finished his post in Tripoli, then we start, to see each other, and he comes here and to this house. We go to play tennis from time to time, and we have some Libyan breakfast here. And
yes.
Then when he came from, and he was the first American envoy to went to the east after the revolution.
Yes.
When he came in March, I think last year, then we drive to McLean. We play in McLean, the Regency Health Club.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And we drove there.
I heard there were some pretty hotly contested tennis matches.
Yeah. No, he's younger and he's better, of course. Yeah, but he's taking care of me. He's not trying to beat me all the time. He beat me all the time, but also taking care of my knees, I guess.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Then I told him Chrissy will be the next ambassador to Libya. Oh, he said, oh, come on. I said, yes, I'm sure that you will be the next ambassador. Chris, he lived with the people for a few months in Libya, and he really lived their daily life, and he suffered like them, and he understands the Libyan. He loves the Libyans, and he really committed to the Libyan cause, and also he has a great confidence in the Libyan people that they will achieve their goals. He saw these young people fighting in t-shirts and slippers. The fighters who face Gaddafi, 90% of them, they are normal Libyan people. They're not professional soldiers. They took to the camps for training maybe 1 week or 10 days, and they run to the battlefield. Then he was very touched by this, and he touched by the friendship of the Libyan people. Then he come very strong, to support them. We lost a very strong supporter and a friend and a man we really love.
Ambassador Stevens was doing in Benghazi at the time of the attack and at the time of his death.
Well, I do understand from the report that he was in Benghazi to open an American Culture Center.
Yes.
And they rented a very beautiful villa in a very beautiful location. Unfortunate that where he lost his life there, and I don't know really exactly. It was very difficult to explain why Chris in that spot on that date.
Yes.
11th of September, serious issue. I really don't know. Somebody is following him. This is another question.
Mm-hmm.
But as I say, he was in the wrong time, in the wrong place.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
And do you have a sense? I realize this is an unfolding story and an unfolding investigation. What is your sense at this point, or what is the Libyan government's sense of who is responsible, or how this attack came about?
The Libyan said it is a pre-organized attack against maybe the consulate. Maybe I don't think that Chrissy was a target, or the Americans they were a target themselves. But of course that I do agree with the story, because how come people they want to protest 8:30 in the evening, and they are armed with weapons and grenades, and then this is not a protest, this is an attack against the embassy. But who is behind it? Still now, I think the Libyan and the American, they're working very hard, and I understand the American team, they were yesterday in Benghazi, they still try to find out who is the extremist. There is a member of Al-Qaeda enters illegally in Libya. Who is behind this? It is. We have to wait, I think, instead of making a pre-judgment or pre-result before this investigation is tell us exactly what's happening, who is responsible for it, who is behind it.
Mr. Ambassador, I have to ask the question about the level of cooperation between the Libyan government and the government of the United States. Obviously, many people here in the United States have read stories about FBI investigation teams being delayed in Tripoli. You just indicated that they have been able to go into Benghazi just within the last day or two.
Oh yes, there is no limit for the cooperation between the Libyans and the Americans, of course, officials, to find out what's happening exactly. But I believe that the reason why they're not in Benghazi before, I think there's security. As I said before, the government is not in full control, and we still have incident here and there. And we lost some, we lost already 4, and we don't want to have any other casualties because of maybe surprise attack or anything like this. No, here in the embassy we are issuing visa in the same day to the American officials, who's going to help, and there is no problem about this. But of course, you see that it has happened in a very critical time. September 11th, the same day the Congress, to elect the Prime Minister, the transition government is not functioned very well, because they are waiting for the Prime Minister to be elected. It is a very, very critical time. No, but there is no obstacles concerning the cooperation between Libyans and Americans to find, because this is better for us, and this is important for you at the same time. We want to know who are behind it. We have to work very hard and find out the cells who are working in the dark, to destabilize Libyan authority, Libyan security, and at the same time to injure the relation between Libya and the United States. Of course, they will do everything they can, the old regime, to injure this relation. We never have a close relation with the United States since the coup in 1969. Now, even I tried very hard, but of course, I do what I can, not what I want.
But from your point of view, it's important for the United States not to back away from a relationship with Libya and the new government.
That would be a great mistake. And I don't think that after the incident we've been in discussion with the Americans officials, I don't think there is anything like that. The Americans, they're committed, their support to help the Libyan people. They know what happened in the American consulate in Benghazi is not the work of government, it's not the work of the American Libyan people. It is a terrorist attack. It's out of control, unfortunately. And I think the American, the president, he did the right thing, and he took the right decision when he came forward and supported the Libyan revolution and the Libyan people. Otherwise, the credibility of the United States supporting the freedom and the struggle of the people for freedom, I think that will be not very transparency. Now you prove to the people, that to the world, that you are stand beside them and beside the people who are looking for their for the release from the dictatorship. And I think this is very important. Also, the image of the United States in the region, I think, is completely changed. After the Americans, they come forward and they support us on the role and you play in the United Nations Security Council, and to help us to freeze the money before Gaddafi being able to take them away. I think this is very important. But now, if you want to, Americans, they decided to do more than supporting Libya. I think this is a very serious issue, and then the things will just reverse to the opposite.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about the constitutional process now? The transitional government, as we said, has transitioned. Yeah. You've had elections. A new constitution is not yet in place. Is that right? Or?
Yes. Yes. You know, the constitution, the former NTC, they decided. There was the declaration stated that they have to form a committee of 60. On the same patterns which the Constitution Committee was formed after the independence to draft the Constitution. 20 from the east, 20 from the west, and 20 from the south, and they're supposed to be elected from the Congress. But later on, the people, they find it maybe is not the right way to form the committee from the council, from the Congress. What they said, that there was amendment to the declaration. They will elect these 20 members from east and west and south. Yeah, and that was not really, I think, a good idea. Now they are thinking again to elect this committee from the Congress itself. And I think that drafting the Libyan constitution will not take time, because most of the articles in the old constitution can be used. Just we have to delete the articles concerning the monarchy.
I see.
I think that.
So you think much of the pre-existing constitution will be retained?
I think will be retained.
Right.
Yes.
You mentioned the regions again, and I think that's something that many Americans don't understand about Libya. To talk about east, west, and south. How are the regions different from each other?
Well, as I said before, Tripoli is a city with, it is a modern city compared with the south, and it is larger, and it has so many diversities, concerning the people who are living. But in the end, they are all Libyan. They all love Libya. They all, fought for their freedom. But of course, most of the south, they are Libyan with the dark skin. Most of them. Yes. And they are mixed. We have some Amazigh, what they call them, the Berbers.
Yes.
Especially in the west, there are very few in the east, and they more now living in small oases.
Yes.
Then I don't think that really there is for example, our traditional clothes more or less the same. Educations, we went through the same system. I think that's you cannot really. There is a very great distinguish between the Libyan districts and the Libyan cities.
Yes. Yes. Let me wrap up with two fairly pointed but questions that ask you to look to the future. The first is, once we move beyond the Benghazi incident, beyond the destruction of the consulate and the death of Ambassador Stevens, what are some of the key issues outstanding between the United States and Libya? What are some of the most important elements of that relationship moving forward?
Well, I think I'm happy to see no problems. What I see that how can we work together? How can we get use of the American technology, American investment, American education, American healthcare? This is, I think, the field which we have to work together. And the other thing, which is always a priority, how how much the American can help us with our security.
Yes.
Yeah. How much American can take to the Libyans for training, education. I think now we're working for strengthening the relation, not working to solve any other issues or problems between our countries. I think it is more open now, the relation. The American, they show their support. The American companies, they are very interested to have business in Libya. The only obstacles, I believe, just that security and stability, which the issue the Libyan have to deal with it with the help of the friends here in the United States and in the West and maybe some Arab countries. Then our daily business will be finished. It will be different. Before that, we have issues, we have problems, we have, of course, maybe we will not be 100% in agreement with the United States for everything. Differences is the nature of the relation between countries. But of course, we will be able to work together in many issues. We can help each other, you know, for security in south of Libya, which is very important. I think we have to work together to exchange information concerning fighting terrorism. This is also an important issue. Then there is no an issue as it used to be before. Gaddafi, if there is no problem, Gaddafi himself, he was a problem, because you don't know any time he can fire something, and
yes.
then there are so many injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that will not happen.
That unpredictability factor.
Unpredictability, of course. That's what we're working for the last 40 years. Now it is just how can what the Libyan exactly won't, how much the American can help. Thank God that we are a country, we don't need really financial support. Libya is a rich country, we have a small population, but just have to organize ourselves and put our priorities. And I think that the Americans are very, very, very happy to help us.
Yes. And finally, Mr. Ambassador, what are your deepest concerns, your fears for the future of your country, and what are your greatest hopes for the future of your country?
No, I think I'm not concerned about the future, I'm concerned about the present. If we've been able to control the security of the country and to put an end to this incident taking place here and there, this is the concern now. I don't believe that when the government in full control and the ministries are functions well, I don't think that that would be any problem. I can imagine that will be our concern in the future. My concern is now. If we've been able to move this track, I think we will have no obstacles. But the problem now is still the government is not the full control. Still the security issue is very important. And when I don't hear incidents for about 1 month or 2 months, I think that we are. I can tell that we are on the right track.
Making some progress.
Yeah.
And your hopes, your vision for.
Well, my hope that I want to see Libya is, first of all, it is full control of its land and its and secure. The second thing, I want Libya and the Libyan who are very hungry for the democracy and liberty and education that they are enjoying their dreams, you know, and this is a very important issue. I want to be proud of my country. Whenever I go, I say Libyan, the people smile at me. This is my great hope. During Gaddafi time, you don't know how much we suffered, you know, whenever we go, you know, see Libya, the some first thing comes to your mind, oh, Libya is a terrorist country. Then this image, thank God that the September revolution that removed it.
Yes.
Now we have to prove to the world that we deserve what we fought for, and we deserve their help and their sacrifice for us also. And I think that's what happened. Libya gets independence in 1951. They discover the oil and start selling the oil in the middle of 1965. In 1969, Libya achieved more than Gaddafi achieved in 42 years. You see, if you go to Libya, you see the university, the highways, the sports cities, the projects for the houses and apartments. It is a great thing, because that time, Libyan, the officials, they're working for their own country. They're not working, not Libya, working for one person.
So when the time comes, I know you said that when you resigned, you were fearful that you might never see your homeland again. When the time comes, will you retire to Libya now, do you think? Or
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. I have no plan to live overseas anywhere. Maybe I would travel, yes, but I love my country. I want to live there, and I would spend the rest of my life in my country. Yes, sure, sure.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much
Thank you very much
for your time.
Thank you.
It was a marvelous interview.
Thank you.
We appreciate the time that you invested with us, and we appreciate the time that you've spent with us to hear more about the situation between the United States and Libya, to meet His Excellency, Ambassador Ali Suleiman Ojali, and we thank you for joining us here at Diplomatic Connections magazine. We hope you'll be back and that you've gained something from this interview that helps us explore exactly the world, the dynamics, the hopes, the fears, the growth of the world of international diplomacy here in Washington, the things that make the diplomatic connections.